Bouncing with that
drop. KCP in the middle. Bounce. Larry in there. Throw that baby down. Oh, my goodness.
Dwight Howard. Are you kidding? With some anger.
Kyrie get out of that double team.
With the hip fake. What a move by Hakeem Olajuwon.
LaVine, he goes right.
Oh! Does anybody know how to post video?
Welcome back in. It is episode 13 of the Drop Step Podcast. Home team, Book the Hook, and Houston here for another chit and chat around the NBA. A whole lot to get to as the NBA playoffs are getting ready to start off for the 2019 season. We'll get to that. We have to say goodbye to some big and all-time ballers, some GOATs going out in style in the NBA. We'll get to that. The Atlanta Hawks have been entertaining for a 29-win team. Everything looks like it's falling into place, like ownership, like management, and like the players would hope that it would in one rookie season for Trae Young. We'll get to that. But a whole lot to get to as the season comes to an end, a whole lot of questions. Who is going to come into the NBA with the lottery and the draft around the corner? What are the decisions that have to be made? A lot to get to. Book the Hook, how you doing this
Man,
week?
I'm great, man. As always, another week. Glad to be here, man. How about yourself?
I'm awesomely awesome. Got a chance to watch some fantastic games coming down the stretch. Playoffs kind of in a spot where we knew where positioning was going to kind of be. It took the last game of the regular season to see if the Rockets were going to be third, if they're going to be second, if they're going to be fourth. But pretty much in the East, we've known what has been going on. Last couple of days, we saw that the Miami Heat were going to be eliminated from playoff competition. But I think the NBA, once again, a winner. Even though the regular season is over, you got a lot of good storylines, a lot of good, memorable, and magical moments from NBA players and some young and budding stars who are trying to take over and get to the next level.
It's kind of like springtime right now in the NBA, which is kind of fitting, you know, because we got the old guys kind of going out to pasture, young guys wrapping up a nice little initial season. So it's kind of the changing of the guard to a certain extent. Seeing D-Wade and seeing Dirk kind of go off into the pastures, but seeing young cats like Trae Young and Luka do their thing after season one, you know, NBA's in a good place right now, man.
Houston, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm living the dream like always, man. Yeah, wrapping up this whole week with these last few games was great. I mean, I was really impressed with the Hawks' effort last night. It was a very entertaining game, even though they ended up losing. You know, Bembry, I don't know if I'm ever going to let go of that one, Bembry.
Man.
You know, that was
Fouling, a 62% free throw
I don't know if I'm going to let that one go, and you're going to have to live with that one. But either way it goes, it was still a great game. And just the whole season altogether, like you said, the NBA all in all winners with this one.
Well, let's get to it. Winners and losers. When you start off with the positive, I think winners, the Milwaukee Bucks got off to a good start to the season, didn't falter, didn't look like fool's gold.
Right.
Got to 60 wins for the first time since the early 1980s and fought through a lot of injury to do so, to be the beast in the East. Obviously, they're going to have to do it when it counts during money time, but I think that is a positive and a winner, one of the winners for the NBA this year.
Right, yeah. They did a good job with that because I was sleeping on them the whole season. I kept on thinking they're going to fall at some point, and still here they are, number one seed in the league going into the playoffs. So, yeah, they were able to hold true, and Giannis is the Greek freak for the reason. That boy is a freak.
Man.
He's a freak. If I had a winner, I was going to say the Clippers. Like, nobody saw them coming in this season doing any of what they've done. We thought, you know, after Lob City has been now completely dismantled, we're moving to a new regime, it's going to be a tank type of season. They went the total opposite way, and now, yeah, they're going against the Warriors, but they're in the playoffs.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. I definitely got a shout out to Milwaukee. They are definitely Milwaukee and Toronto. I think those are my two biggest winners in this season. Toronto, I think they've done a really good job of showcasing themselves as a potential Eastern powerhouse to Kawhi Leonard. So I think they made some headway in that, which is a win for them, as well as Milwaukee. Coach Bud, I was super excited to see what Coach Bud was going to be able to do with Giannis. With Coach Bud being a developmental type of coach he is, and knowing that Giannis was not far away, just needing to fill a couple gaps. I'm extremely excited for what those guys have to come, man.
Yeah, I think also L.A. with a ton of cap space, the future, this is not necessarily over for the Clippers. Now, even though they do get in with the 8th seed and their reward is getting the Golden State Warriors in round 1, good luck with that.
Exactly.
I think they are going to be a scrappy team. They're going to be fun to watch. Their problem is they have problem scoring at times, which is something you don't need to do when you're playing Golden State, but they are one of those franchises that can certainly turn themselves around. I think that also when you look at winners, I think you have to look at the Philadelphia 76ers. They're looking to build upon the tank job, the historic tank job they did a few seasons ago, and see where that gets them. They right now get to the number 3 seed in the East, and they could do some damage. And now shutting down Joel Embiid for some games towards the end of the season to make sure that he's more healthy than not, making sure he got his load maintenance time off. They should have no excuses as they get ready to go up in the Eastern Conference playoff race and see if they can knock off the Bucks or knock off the Raptors.
I got to say, it's just very impressive to me that the 76ers organization was able to take a phrase like the process and turn it not only into a nickname for a player, but really the nickname for what this whole mentality is of losing to win.
The tankness.
So, like, this is awesome to me to see it's actually come to fruition. And real talk, they are dangerous in the East. Thank God that LeBron went to the West finally, so now we can see some actual, just some different blood inside of those finals each year. I think that's what we're going to see from now on. So, yeah.
I think that Philadelphia kind of laid the blueprint on how to make a turnaround in the NBA, how to tank. I mean, they laid the blueprint out literally, how to tank. Until this year, I think they had one of the most successful turnarounds. Granted, they had to take 3 and 4 stabs at it in the draft with Markelle Fultz not turning out to what they thought he would be, hitting on Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, taking a little while to develop as well. But I think we've now seen a quicker turnaround based on the tanking, and we'll touch on that here in a little bit. But shout out to Philadelphia because this is what they saw in the making 4 or 5 years ago when they started going in that tanking direction. So shout out to those cats for sure.
And when you look at teams like Denver, a team that was a winner, they were right there really the last week and a half trying to take the number 1 seed in the Western Conference from the Golden State Warriors, a solid team, scrappy team. This is an opportunity for them to stop, a lot of overlooking. Right. Everybody, I think, is looking at the Warriors or looking at the Rockets or looking at the Thunder. Nobody's really giving them their just due. So now they're in the postseason. They're the 2nd seed. What are you going to do?
Can I say that I'm still one of the people that's going to overlook them a little bit, though? Like, I still feel like I'm going to look at Portland before I even look at Denver in this playoff race. So, like, I like Denver, and, yeah, 2nd seed and all, but I still feel like it's fool's gold. I'm sorry. Sorry, Nuggets.
You brought up a good one, and it's kind of a low-key winner. They didn't necessarily win, but I wouldn't classify them as a loser in this season either. And that's the Houston Rockets. Based on what James Harden was able to do with them or for them when it was just James Harden. That's a win in itself. To make it into the playoffs, not as a low seed, to have home court advantage throughout the first round is a huge win for those cats based on the amount of games that they had to play with just James Harden as the focal point of the offense.
Yeah, I think there are going to be opportunities in both conferences for teams to step up, maybe knock off some folks and make some folks happy. Now we did the winners. Let's get to some NBA losers. And you can't say losers or spell it without an L. And the Lakers start with an L.
Is it a coincidence that B-Dog ain't here today?
Wow.
He couldn't take it anymore.
It could be,
Is that really what it was?
Shout out to B-Dog.
He in the crib right now with a big bowl of Ben and Jerry, huh?
Man.
They've endured much.
I would love
Laker
to
Nation.
have had him here for this convo, man. I mean, literally just for some Laker fan perspective or insight, man. I mean, I'm a self-professed, not Laker hater, but I mean, I'm not a Laker fan by any stretch of the imagination. So I just want to see his perspective on it because you already know what mine's going to be.
Well, I'm a traditionalist. It's just not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be that the Lakers are out of the playoffs for the 6th consecutive season. It's not supposed to be we don't get a chance to see LeBron James in the playoffs. It's not supposed to be that Magic Johnson says, I've had enough. There's nothing I can do.
That was supposed to be.
I've got to go.
He shouldn't have been there.
That's
in the first
not
place.
supposed to be. Magic is supposed to be a winner. He did the right thing.
Yeah.
I think he did the honorable thing.
It's a blessing in disguise, right?
I mean, not just for this season. The Lakers are a mess.
Yeah.
And we don't know as of right now what the fate of Luke Walton is going to be. But you could be going into an offseason where you don't have a coach or president of basketball operations, or if you do keep your coach, you don't have a president of basketball operations, and you still have a mess as far as your roster and what the future is going into year 2 with LeBron James going out to LA.
Now, this will be Luke Walton's second set of, front office execs, right? So do you really think they're going to keep him around again when you're not the guy who they're choosing? Basketball operation, he's going to have some sort of say. They're not going to keep you around. I think the writing is on the wall that he's going to be gone. I thought that Pelinka was going to be next, but they're saying they're sticking with him. So if you're going to keep him as the GM, something else is going to change, because it wasn't just Magic Johnson as your fault for being where you're at in 6 seasons and not making the playoffs.
You brought up a really good point. I can promise you that Rob Pelinka is not willing to tie his success and tenure to the Lakers and attach that to Luke Walton.
Definitely not with Luke Walton.
If it's me or
Not
you,
gonna
bro, I'm
happen.
tossing you off the ship.
Not gonna be
You
able
got to
to.
go, Luke. That's Rob Pelinka's perspective. I can guarantee you that. So, they big time loser in the aspect of they just didn't accomplish much of anything this year. I never saw that this would be reality for the Lakers at the end of this season.
And even with all that, can I still play devil's advocate and say it didn't matter anyways because the Lakers weren't doing anything this season, and we said that from last offseason, so we're still at the same place. Let's get into this season, see who they might be able to pick up. With Magic gone, it gives them a little wiggle room to talk to some people. First, you get an operation guy in there, and then see what players will actually want to come in. And you also get a head coach, and that might affect it too. So we're still at the same place we were. Year 2 is what we're really going to judge LeBron and these Lakers by.
Oh, absolutely. And it's kind of funny because we posed the question last week or either the week before, are Rob Pelinka and Magic Johnson in over their head? So to see Magic kind of wipe his hands clean, to me, it doesn't necessarily signify that he was in over his head, but the situation was he couldn't clean the situation up himself. So
it wasn't what he thought it was.
Detach himself from it.
It wasn't what he thought it was going to be.
I don't think it's what anybody thought it was.
No.
Like, this isn't what LeBron thought he was signing on for. This is not what anyone perceived of the future.
I thought 2 things. I think they thought, LeBron and Magic thought it would be easier. LeBron's going out to LA. They have some young guys. Folks and help will be on the way. And 2, with Magic being there, it'd be easy to make a pitch, listen to what he has to say, and get high-powered talent out to L.A. And what it's proven to be is a lot more difficult than both of those guys thought. And the other point, how much of this runs up the ladder? Stank runs downhill. How much of this is on Jeannie Buss? Does she know? Does she
Her name's
know
never mentioned in any of this anymore.
what's going on? She's the one that had the rift with her brother, and he's out in the street, proverbially, not literally, but threw him out when he was president of basketball ops. Jeannie Buss is responsible for allowing Magic Johnson, a family friend, a Laker family member, to get that position. She's been on the watch and letting Rob Pelinka, a man who was a former sports agent, come in and be her general manager. At what point does the owner have to take responsibility for some of the missteps happening in Laker Nation being on her watch because of the decisions she is allowed to go down?
Now, I will say this before we move on to a couple of other NBA losers from this year. Let me ask y'all this: how likely is it? And this would have been an extremely crazy question at the beginning of this season. How likely do you think it is that LeBron finishes this contract in a Laker jersey?
See, I would think if they turn this thing around, it's highly likely.
Okay.
If they have another subpar and they have a free agent period where Kyrie doesn't come, KD doesn't come, Kawhi doesn't come, I don't know if he sticks around. I think that 3rd year maybe opts out and maybe wants to try to win one more title and he goes somewhere else.
I think, the only way that he sticks around is if it does look like they're on the progressive path going into that last year of the deal.
What would lead either one of y'all to think that they have the attraction of KD, of a Kawhi, of a Kyrie? If you're those guys, why do you choose? Honestly, okay, just breaking it down to 2 teams. Why do you pick going to the Lakers over the Clippers right now?
Well, the simple answer is you don't, because you like what the Clippers are building as far as an actual team so far. You like the pieces they already have there, maybe. All they need is people who can actually score. Maybe you're that scorer for them, right? But in the long run, if you're one of those guys, you only want to go to the Lakers because you feel like you and LeBron are going to be good together. If you don't feel like you could be a good fit with LeBron, there's no reason to go. KD has already said it plenty of times. He doesn't feel like LeBron is necessarily probably the best teammate for some guys. So I'm putting KD in that boat. He's just not going to want to play with him. So,
I agree. I agree. I don't see it as a. I don't see them. And the reason I asked this question was because I had the second question in mind. I don't see them being able to turn it around. I honestly don't even think that LeBron finishes this contract in a Laker jersey. I believe that either it will be by his decision, by leaving and continuing to play in somewhere else, or the Lakers look to move him. If they can't do anything this summer, they have to explore that option.
I'm still thinking it's still LeBron James. He still scored well. He still rebounded well. Yeah. His body has not broken down. Now, he did have the injury Christmas Day, the groin injury, which sat him out, but he still was performing and producing at a high level. And I still think that that is an attraction that, as bad as the Lakers were, they did have injury. A lot of those young players were injured, and had they not been injured, the development of those players might have been realized. The wins, obviously, if LeBron James isn't injured for his stretch, then maybe they're in a better position. If they do lose some games, they have a little wiggle room. So I still think him being out in L.A. could attract a Kyrie Irving, who's already apologized for how he dismissed LeBron when they were in Cleveland. So maybe that's a sign that he might want to go play with LeBron James. Kevin Durant, I don't know what the dynamics in Golden State will be. It'll be, if it comes down to, if Draymond is coming back, I'm out, what do y'all want to do? Then maybe he stays in Golden State. If not, maybe I'll go join the King. If Kyrie is coming, maybe we have enough to knock off the Golden State Warriors. Just say if Klay Thompson leaves as well.
I think that's going to be the biggest thing because, the big talk is that, okay, the Knicks are going to end up probably trying to land KD and Kyrie. Well, that, as good as that looks, and especially if they get the number one pick and they take Zion, that looks awesome. The only team that I see Kyrie possibly wanting to go with LeBron because of all the factors like you just said, the apologies and all stuff. He realized what he had, and he might miss it. So I think the real battle is going to see who gets Kyrie. I don't think KD and LeBron will ever be on the same team. They're going to still be opposing factors for the rest of their careers. But they're going to sell each other, or they're trying to sell each other on the fact of who's going to come to me. Kyrie's the only piece that I think was going to really go either way. So I hope to see Kyrie go with LA, actually. I would love to see that one happen again. Don't bring in Coach Lou, but I would love to see Kyrie and LeBron try it again, and then with those young pieces, see how it develops.
Superlatives are going to be thrown out now that the regular season is over. Who's your MVP? Who's your Rookie of the Year? Who's your Coach of the Year? Who's your Sixth Man of the Year? I think Giannis Antetokounmpo, it should be closer. I think there's been a lot of disrespect of James Harden just because of all of the scoring he was doing. All of a sudden now we hate a guy who's scoring a lot. Man led the league in scoring 36 points a game.
How dare you?
It was a problem now, but I think it should be closer because of the injuries that Houston was suffering when Chris Paul was out, when Clint Capella was out, and James Harden was in that incredible streak of 30-point games. It should be closer than people are going to make it, but I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be the MVP.
Yeah, I think because it's just a simple fact that the NBA wants to try and create different storylines, so they're going to keep on trying to change up who the MVP or what the narrative is of how you get MVP. So this year it probably will go to Giannis. To me, it's Harden hands down. I mean, like you said, the guy had that streak of 30 points. The man had 57 30-point games this season. And you're going to say, well, what about his assists? He still had 62 games, 5+ assists. So he's still distributing the ball, and he stepped up on defense. So what's really holding him back at this point? And he didn't have none of his complementary players throughout the season.
Man, it's a simple one for me. It kind of reflects the Rookie of the Year race to a certain extent. But I'm casting my vote for James Harden. What he's been able to do this season has been, I've never seen anything like it. Giannis is a dominant force. I've seen things like that. I've never seen anyone score so effortlessly in so many ways for such a long, consistent period of time. It's Kobe-like. Like, that's the only thing that I can really compare it to is just a dominant scorer. It's Kobe-like. He's averaging 36 points a game, 7 assists a game. So we're talking 50 points that he's responsible for every night he steps on the floor.
Yeah, I think it's just been disrespect. I don't know what it is. Maybe more people want the Euro step called. Maybe they think the step back is a travel. Whatever. The man is utilizing the rules. He understands the rules, and he's using them accordingly. I don't know what the hate for Harden is, but I think he's going to get something. I think Giannis is going to be MVP. Rookie of the year. Is it going to be Luka, or is it going to be Trae Young? My opinion, they should be rookies of the year. You can't look at one guy and say that the other guy is not deserving. Either one. Both of them had fantastic rookie campaigns. Both of them showed that they belong in the NBA, and both of them look like they have the ability to be leaders, put a team on their back, and be star players for many years to come. Oh, by the way, executing in their rookie years, I think they should split it, and they should be co-rookie of the year.
They should split it, mainly because who's number 3 in the rookie race? And how close behind number 1 and 2 is he?
It's a great call, actually.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
No.
DeAndre Ayton?
Exactly. Is DeAndre Ayton or what? Bagley, I think?
Bagley came on strong in the second half.
Okay, so if those are your next 2 options and they're way behind Luka and Trae, how can you might as well go ahead and make it cold because they were actually leaps and bounds above everybody else. Every other year of this, you probably have 2 to 3, 4 guys that you could probably give an argument for. You can only give an argument for the 2 guys. So, to me, it's co-MVP.
That's a great point,
man.
Co-rookie. As a homer, I want to see Trae win it solo by himself.
Right.
I think the deficit that he had to overcome in the first half may just end up being a tad bit too much. But I promise you this. I don't see a situation or a scenario where Trae Young's name is not on that trophy, regardless if it's with Luka or as rookie of the years. He needs to be on there some way, some shape, some form, some fashion. I don't care if they share it. I don't care if he wins it solo, but Trae Young is a rookie of the year, absolutely.
Yeah, both guys have the it factor. Both guys delivered their rookie campaigns. Haven't had a co-rookie of the year situation since Jason Kidd and Grant Hill, who are both deserving their rookie seasons. Hopefully we'll see that again. I don't think there's a question. Lou Williams is 6th man of the year.
Absolutely.
Give it to him tonight.
That thing needs to be changed to the Lou Will Award.
Right.
Like that is his award, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert or Paul George?
Paul George.
I would have to give it to PG-13.
Team's better. He put up astronomical numbers going from steals and then transition points. Him and Russ being able to do it together as a dynamic duo. I'm giving it to Paul George.
I got to agree with you guys. It's a Paul George award, definitely on the slam dunk on this one. I think also, just kind of like what you were saying earlier, Houston, the NBA likes to spread things out, likes to give new narratives. So I really think the fact that Paul George not being in the MVP race or talk as much now, this will kind of be his
it's his consolation prize.
Exactly, you nailed it.
I think that Coach of the Year is a 2-man race and has been for most of the season. I think it's going to come down between Mike Budenholzer, and it will come down between Denver's Mike Malone, and I think you have to go with Coach Bud. I think coming in the first time, getting more three-point shooting, keeping Giannis Antetokounmpo on track to utilize his skill set to improve year after year, and winning 60 games, you have to give Coach Mike Budenholzer credit for that. So he should be winning his 2nd NBA Coach of the Year award.
I love it. I'm a huge Coach Bud fan. I like what he was able to do up in Milwaukee. This is what I expected. I didn't expect it to jump off nearly as fast as it did, but I expected him to be able to come in there and mold some guys and turn them into some different types of players. Brought his entire coaching staff up there, so I had no reason to doubt what he'd be able to do up there based on what he was able to do with the Hawks.
Yeah, he 60-win seasons, like I said, we already saw that from down here, so we knew what he could do as far as developing a team and getting them to play the right type of way for a full season. So that's exactly what he did. As soon as he got up there, he just took the same mold and just applied it to better talent. So at the end of the day, you got to – I give it to him because do you think Jason Kidd would have been able to get that team to where they are right now?
No.
Exactly.
He proved he couldn't. He gave it a shot, but he proved he couldn't.
Yeah, so exactly. I think that shows what the difference is in the Jason Kidd coaching them. Now you got Coach Bud, and he takes them to the #1 seed.
Shout out to Doc Rivers, too, man. I don't know how much he'll get votes, but what he did with the Clippers is extremely impressive in the West.
Totally
So,
different team in one
absolutely.
season, and you still made the playoffs.
Absolutely.
As we talk about a team that hopefully will make the playoffs, the Atlanta Hawks finished up their regular season with 29 wins, lost a heartbreaker as they have a foul as time was expiring in the fourth quarter, but they put up, there's a good and a bad. Their final game, they put up 134 points, which is good. The bad, you scored 134 points and you lost. So you're going to have to get some defense. But that to the side, when you're rebuilding, what you need to do is fix one thing at a time. And one thing, I would rather have a team that knows how to score, and then you work on the other things later. That's, I think, the approach that Travis Schlenk and Coach Lloyd Pierce have taken. I think they are an entertaining team, and for 29 wins, to have people excited, to have people sticking around. There were a lot of people inside of State Farm Arena for the final game of the regular season. People are very hopeful, and even in a season where you have a rookie and you have some uncertainty, people are buying into what they believe the Hawks can be.
It was said last night in Coach Pierce's press conference. There's nothing that he has to sell anybody on about this city and this team at this point. You see the product that we have out here right now. And yeah, defense is going to come. One thing that he was talking about is these boys getting bigger, getting stronger. You know, the guys that have to actually put on the weight. That's going to help out with defense alone as soon as they're able to really push back some of these bodies.
Man, I was pulling so hard last night. 'Cause let the record reflect. I threw out 30 wins at the beginning of this season.
I said 25.
And it was a ridiculous bold claim at the time, but I was pulling hard last night for him to get to 32, man. But those boys look good, man. It's crazy to be able to pull for a team that only pulled out 29 wins and be as excited as the city is about them. I mean, and that just speaks to the potential that they have. So it's great to be in the conversation, and it's great to be recognized nationally as something that's bubbling down here. So I think we're doing things the correct way, and the guys are growing. It'll be interesting to see what guys out of this youthful group will be here for the next 2 to 3 years once this thing really gets rolling.
It's the same kind of feeling that I had when the Falcons all of a sudden went on that run and, okay, we're looking like a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
It's the same type of feeling that I had with UGA when, all of a sudden we're in the SEC championship game and we're going to the national championship. You see that, whoa, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
It can really be something big. And the thing about this one is it really can, because all of these guys are 1-2 years in. We don't have to worry about really contract issues too tough yet. And still, we're going to have so much room to grow. So I'm just looking forward to it. I had the clip ready last night for that game winner. I had Prince on there and everything ready to go, just waiting for them last seconds. And I'm going to say it again. Bembry, come on, bro.
That's all right. We can learn from losing. Don't foul. Yell at him. Scream at him.
Yeah.
Throw your hand up. Boo.
Clap.
Open for a reason.
Yeah.
Something. Don't
Man.
foul him to end the game. So a lesson to be learned. I just think that the Hawks, if they had the same squad going into next year, they win more games. That the experience that we expect them to have. But John Collins was a little bit banged up early in the year. Trae Young was shooting horrifically at one point in the year. He was shooting less than 25% from behind the three-point line. So to get his percentages up after a tough and shaky start from long-range shooting, they would be better. And so with all of that going on, they still came up with 29 wins. Could they win 7 more games with the same squad, and now with 2 lottery picks, maybe some free agents coming? I don't think it's crazy even right now to talk about the Hawks potentially getting into the playoffs next year.
Exactly. That's exactly where this looks like it's going. We're not going to have to sit out another year of the playoffs, I don't believe. I think that our playoff drought will end at, what, 2?
At minimum, I'm looking to be the Clippers of the East next year. At minimum. Where we get our way into the playoffs, we kind of take our lumps in the playoffs, learn a little bit more, and then progress to the next season. That's my low-end expectation for next year. Higher, I mean, we can talk about that, but it's some dreams out there right now, man. It's a lot of stuff that could happen over this, next couple of months of the offseason. So, at minimum, I'm looking for a fringe playoff push or appearance next year.
Well, we'll see how that goes. The question now is how attractive, to your point, Houston. Coach Lloyd Pierce doesn't need to get on a megaphone and hire a plane with a banner behind it to get folks to come to the A. How attractive now are the Atlanta Hawks? They still are young. They still don't have a perennial all-star. They still don't have a superstar yet. So there's some things they don't have that would attract a KD, a Klay Thompson, a Kawhi Leonard yet, or do they?
Well, that's the thing about it. I think the fact that we don't have the superstar or the real all-star level player yet, we've got these young pieces, is what's going to be so attractive. That's not a slight. It's actually good. It looks like, hey, they've got the pieces. I can be that all-star for them that they actually need to get over the hump. I think that's where it makes it look more attractive, because now people can actually put themselves in place in a Hawks uniform and say, I can see that working. They couldn't do that before. They didn't know where they would necessarily fit with the team ball that Bud was playing and stuff. But this faster pace that we've got going, it's going to lend well to players like a KD. It's going to lend well to players like Klay Thompson when he's running around and getting to that corner. So I think that's what makes it most attractive for us.
Man, somebody going to want to come play with these young boys.
Yeah.
I fully believe that somebody is going to see what we already have in place and be attracted to what we're doing already and see themselves as a difference maker.
I'm waiting to see it on the ticker where the Hawks just signed a max level player.
I hope it's the right max level player.
This is the first summer I've actually thought about it and seen where it could really happen. And I think that's what's going to happen this season. We're going to see it on the bottom of the ticker. Hawks sign so-and-so for so many money, max deal.
To answer your question, how attractive are the Hawks now? I think we're more attractive than, I'd say we're in the top half of attractive situations in the league.
Right.
Based on what we currently have and how those things will shape out. It's a lot like the NFL. You know, these guys, the formula to winning the championship in the NFL that's been proven is you have a quarterback on a rookie contract and you go get as many supporting cast members to surround that young guy. That's kind of what the Hawks got to do right now. We got our two best players on rookie contracts to where if we make this push and go sign the right guy for some real money, then you can do that. I mean, we're in a position to do that.
Look at the teams that didn't make the playoffs, and which would you rather be, them or the Hawks?
Yeah.
With Dwayne Wade leaving the Heat, do you want to be the Heat or the Hawks? You want to be the Wizards? With John Wall already talking about he might not come back or be ready for next year, or the Hawks. You want to be the Bulls, the Cavs, or the Knicks? Now, obviously, with one of those teams getting Zion Williamson, the way things are weighted, possibly you might throw that in. But Kings, Lakers, T-Wolves, Grizzlies, Pelicans, Suns.
You could throw some playoff teams in there like the Magic. I'd rather be the Hawks than the Magic right now.
I think the future of the Hawks is a lot better than the Magic because I think they're going to lose Vujovic.
Exactly.
Then what?
Then what you got?
You know, I think Kemba Walker's going to be leaving Charlotte.
Oh, yeah.
Then what?
Yeah.
You know, so there are a lot of franchises that have a lot of questions this offseason and a lot of losses.
And Trey's been quoted too saying that he's going to get out there and recruit.
Yeah.
He's going to recruit for the city. So, and I think that's a great thing too, man. I think him selling other players on the city and on the team is going to be huge. I think his influence behind the push is going to be as influential as a Slink, as a Coach Lloyd Pierce. I think him selling it is part of the formula that'll make it successful.
I think it's going to be a combination. It's going to be him and like John Collins.
Yeah.
I asked John last night, what is the message to the rest of the league now? What should they be looking forward to these Hawks going to the offseason next season? He's like, we're here.
Yeah.
Like he didn't hesitate, and he straight up said, we're here, meaning what you see right now, yeah, and you're going to have to deal with us. And then he went on to the fact we've got pieces still coming. So, like, that's the selling point that they've got already, and I believe that the young boys, and even if Vince, I really do hope we hold on to Vince for next season, and he's actually out there able to help us recruit some players too, because I think some of these max-type players will listen to a veteran like him who's been around the league and knows what the different situations really look like.
It might be a goodbye for Vince Carter, who has said he wants to come back and play for a 22nd season. Don't know if there'll be enough roster space when you talk about the Hawks moving into the future. They have 5 draft picks, 2 lottery picks, and 3 in the second round. Add a free agent or 2, you don't know how many roster spots are going to be left. And so I think mission accomplished this year, imparting his wisdom on a young group. You didn't see anybody late for practices, no suspensions. How many guys did we see late? How many guys did we see miss flights? None. How many fights have we seen outside of clubs? None. How many drunk Hawks have we seen staggering out, of a nightclub or something? None. Knock on wood. Okay?
Woodpecker out right now. I'm knocking on a whole bunch of wood for all that you just said. Whoa.
Carter, did his job showing these young guys how to be a professional. So it might not be the case that he'll be back with the Hawks, but if he does play in the NBA, still a good thing.
You know, you brought up a really good point, home team, and to circle back on the Hawks attraction and everything, the fact that we have so many draft picks in this draft, there's no scenario that I see the Hawks putting 5 more rookies into this atmosphere that they currently have. I don't see them bringing in a crop of that many rookies. They only brought in 3 last year, so bringing in another 5 this year, I don't think that happens.
Well,
I think they have a lot of assets on hand that there's gonna be some willing and dealing. That's why I said the scenarios of the Hawks making some real moves are realistic, just based on the assets they have.
Because there's gonna be a few people gone. Yeah.
Well, there are a few of the GOATs going on. Farewell tours come to an end as Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki, they are done with their NBA careers, and both of the GOATs go out in style. Dwayne Wade, a triple-double in his last game against the Brooklyn Nets, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, and for Dirk Nowitzki, he goes out with a bang, a double-double, 20 points and 10 rebounds. See you at the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame.
It's so hard to say goodbye to the veterans.
Go.
Oh, Lord Jesus, man. I love it, though, because D. Wade, that's one of the players that growing up, as a teenager, around the same age, but still watching him come up, it's like, dude, this guy's a beast, and he's gonna be nice. And for him to end it that way, and for the Banana Boat boys to all be there in attendance,
we'll get to
that. Was great. And then even I like the fact that the assist to give him the triple-double was to Udonis Haslem.
Yeah.
I
like
love
that
the
part
fact
too,
that it went to him and not to anybody else.
Hit that jumper, man. That's what he always known for. Man,
Yeah.
I love seeing these cats go out like this. This is what I always love about athletes, like when they can really turn it on. And they turned it on for last night. I have to go perform. I have to go get on the stage and give my best work. And that's what they did. I mean, just like Kobe did on his way out. It's awesome to see these guys don't get it twisted. I'm going out on my own accord, and this is what I got. But I'm going to leave it on the court just to show y'all one last time.
I think Kobe set that trend. I think because with him going with that 60 game, the rest of them are looking at it like, yeah, my last game ain't going to be like, oh, I just did 5 minutes here and got a couple. No, I'm going out with at least a double-double.
Ain't no curtain call. Better get it while you can, buddy.
So it was good to see those guys get the proper tribute from their home crowds, from the visiting crowds as well. The NBA showing a lot of respect to guys who have been in the league, and then you look at somebody like Dirk, who he's only cashed one check. He's only cashed Mavericks checks for 2 decades, and that is rare in sports. There are very few, superstars that are able to do that. When you're talking about, Kobe Bryant or Magic Johnson or Larry Bird, it's just hard to see the best of the best stick around for the entirety of their career, and good or bad, whether you hate them or you don't, you have to appreciate them because you miss them when they're gone.
Let me ask y'all this real quick. I mean, how would y'all feel if either one of these cats or both of these cats decided that when they get into the offseason, I think I want to run this thing back one more time? How would y'all feel?
Yeah, once I think you say you're done and you get the farewell tour, I know the way Dirk was sounding, he's done. He don't want to do anything. They asked him if he wanted to go TNT and sit in with the nope, no interest. Want to be with the family, be with the kids. I'm done.
I think with Dirk's situation, no. Yeah, you see where he's at in his career. D. Wade, yeah, he might be able to give you a couple more years. Obviously not going to be the same effect, but he still can give you some Vince Carter type of numbers for at least 2 more years, I would think.
What if LeBron coaches him to go to L.A.?
I mean,
we're putting together a team.
I don't
like
want
the
to see.
Avengers.
I'd rather you go out with the triple-double and just leave it at that. But if the itch still itches, scratch it.
See, I think neither one of them have anything else to do. They both are all-timers. They both all kinds of high on the all-time list of whatever you're looking for. They're both champions. There's nothing else to accomplish. They both, maybe if you didn't win a title, maybe that, to Dwayne Wade's point where he could still be effective coming off the bench, get you 13 or 14 points somewhere else. But 3-time champion, finals MVP, gold medalist, I don't need anything else.
You've done it. You've done all that you could do. There's nothing left for you to do.
Done it all.
When you look at another guy who was a part of an older crew, Jamal Crawford, he finishes with 51 points the other night. My goodness. Is he the greatest six-man in the history of the NBA.
All right, I'll be real. When I wrote that, I think I just kind of prematurely scribbled it on the thing and just went with it.
I don't think it's crazy talk.
It's not crazy talk, but at the end of the day, like we mentioned earlier, Lou Williams is probably the best sixth man ever at this point. Like the way how he's been going through his career as a sixth man and just all these different teams having to jump into lineups and all that stuff, he might be better. But to me, Jamal Crawford, come on, Jamal crossover, and back when he was in Atlanta, like, come on, oh, I love the dude.
In my book, it's a two-person race, and it's the two cats we talking about right now.
Right.
In this generation, at least, between Jamal Crawford and Lou Will, that's an NBA starter. Like you have him on the bench to lead your second wave, your second string. That's the guy. Like when y'all four get on the court with him, he's the guy. Just so y'all know. So, and that's what you look for out of a sixth man. You know, somebody that can keep the rhythm going the same way a starter would go, somebody to defer to. And both of those cats are exactly that. So it's a tough one. If you say Lou Will and I say, if I say Jamal Crawford, I don't think either one of us wrong, honestly, on that.
Yeah, I think it's six in one hand, half a dozen in the other. And I think both guys have demonstrated that they like that role. They like coming off. They're more comfortable being a closer and being the guy when the reserve unit is called in to score some points and change the momentum of games. So they relish those opportunities, and it's paid off for both of them throughout the entirety of their careers. Playoffs coming up. Playoff predictions we'll have to get to. I just think that we're in for some good basketball. I think we're in for some really new faces to get an opportunity. Jimmy Butler's going to get an opportunity. You're going to have some guys like Damian Lillard. Are y'all just here just to be one of the teams in the playoffs? Can y'all get to the conference finals and do some damage? Some people who have to worry about their legacies. Is James Harden going to be able to push through and get the Rockets all these 30-point games, these 50-point games? Well, that's regular season, brother. Are you going to be able to get it done when it counts and knock off the champion, the defending champion, Golden State Warriors?
This is going to be a great playoff run, man. I've been waiting for this all year. I'll be honest, the Eastern Conference didn't fall like I was hoping it would fall. We don't have the most competitive first round in the Eastern Conference, but for a while it was shaping up to where it was going to be some boxing matches in there. I really like the Philadelphia against Brooklyn. I know you brought up Joel Embiid having rested up and everything. I think Brooklyn will be one of those sleeper teams that I'm not saying that they'll beat Philadelphia. I'm saying that they're young, they're hungry, and they're wanting to show that they're here not by mistake. As far as Portland goes, they're gonna be in for a dogfight out there in the West with OKC in the first round. Like that's the most interesting first round matchup in my eyes. That's two heavyweights. Just like you said, Portland's got a lot of pressure on them to show that they're not just wasting a space by making the playoffs every year. And OKC's got a lot to show as well. You know, they kind of tapered off at the end of the year, but having Russ and PG-13, like, they've got a lot of expectations now that the big lights are on. So I can't wait, man.
If I had to give any type of prediction for this, my bold one is that there's only going to be one sweep this first round of the playoffs. I only see one team possibly getting swept, and that's against Milwaukee. Detroit is the only team I can see not winning a game. Everybody else I see at least winning one game. So makes for a little bit more interesting of a playoff series than you would have thought, because last year or the years before, even if it didn't happen, you were already thinking like, oh no, it's just going to be Houston and Golden State in the semifinals, in the conference finals. So that's just all it was. This year, you really don't know what's going to come out. We all think it's still going to be Golden State, but really do we know at this point? Because whoever they get in the finals ain't going to be no rollover.
It's a little bit tougher of a road today as we sit versus 6 months ago, 4 months ago. It's not as easy of a cakewalk as I even thought that it would be. But with that said, I still do favor Golden State, obviously. But I think that they're going to have to get their hands a little bit dirtier.
Clippers going to make that game dirty. Yeah. They're going to make that series real dirty.
Absolutely, as they should.
I think they're going to get rolled. I think the playoff mode has been activated. I think Boogie's going to figure out what his role is in the postseason. I think Andrew Bogut already knows what to do. These jokers have been waiting for the light switch to come on. They've been trying to figure it out. They figured it out. Good luck to all involved. Good luck to the Clippers. I think they're going to get rolled. I think the only
man coming out the booth.
Yeah, it's time. I think the only snooze fest, I agree, is that Pistons-Bucks series. I think the Bucks are just going to just roll them, score at will, out 3-point shoot them. There's just not enough offense. And I think other than that, every series has a storyline. And maybe the next weakest is maybe the Raptors and the Magic.
Right.
You know, the storyline there is more about Kawhi and how far he can take them as opposed to the Raptors in and of themselves. But that's still a storyline. Victor Oladipo out. What can the Pacers do? Can they put up a fight in the first round? Will they scrap their way to the second round against the Celtics?
Didn't the Celtics lose Marcus Smart for like the first couple games?
Yes.
So that to me that makes that game even more big, because you don't have one of your keystone defensive pieces and just your energy guys in there. You end up losing 2 games quick to Indiana. Next thing you know, you're in a 7-game series.
Yeah, I wish Indiana had ended up matched up with. I wish Philadelphia, Boston was first round. I want to see, because honestly, those 2 teams, I think they're the most underachieving playoff teams that we have right now. I never saw anything consistent from either of those teams. They're clearly not in the bottom 4 of the Eastern playoffs, but they never really did anything to solidify or chase, say, a Toronto or a Milwaukee. So they're in that second tier. I would have loved to have seen them box it out in the first round and kind of let me see which one of y'all is really real. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we'll get a chance to see that, unfortunately. But I think it's a chance that we get I'm going to throw it out there, and I think this is what I had at the beginning of the season, or close to the beginning of the season at least, is Toronto Golden State. I think those are the 2. Those are your Eastern Conference, Western Conference champions. Milwaukee being the first seed, they just don't have the experience in my opinion. Having Kawhi as a defensive player of the year as well as a Finals MVP, and adding Marc Gasol, another defensive player of the year, I think that's enough to lock up the East.
I'm really hoping that this is the year that all that hunger that Toronto has had for trying to get out of the Eastern Conference really pays off. You've got all the pieces that you truly need, somebody who's experienced in winning the finals and other guys who've been to the playoffs that can really help you out this time and get you over that hump. Hopefully get rid of that, whatever that mental block that Kyle Lowry has had for the past 5-6 years. Whatever it is, hopefully they've been able to work with him to where this playoffs we won't see that Kyle. You know how you got Hoodie Melo, and all that stuff? You don't want to see playoff Lowry.
Yeah.
We want to see regular season Lowry, actually. So keep the switch turned off.
And I'll go back to it. We need to see regular season Harden. Mm-hmm. We need to see what the beard's going to do when the lights get a little brighter and the heat gets a little hotter.
We need regular season Westbrook too, huh?
Yeah.
Honestly, in my opinion, I think Harden shook that moniker last year. He shook it from me. I didn't believe in Harden or the Rockets nearly as much as I do this year, and it's all because of James Harden. But I think that they might have a little switch to flip, and we'll see if they can. We'll see.
All right, well, we'll see a lot. We'll be back next week, and the playoffs will be in full swing. We'll see who will have series leads, who will be in a hole, if there'll be any surprises, be exactly what we'll thought. Houston, book the hook. And for our man B-Dog, who couldn't be here, we want to say thanks to y'all for listening on the Shaq Fu podcast as well.
Yeah, make sure y'all check us out on Shaq Fu Radio. Every Wednesday and every Saturday we'll be broadcasting all there, but you can also check us out on Apple Podcasts any day of the week. Make sure you go subscribe and go download the Podbean app if you're not an Apple user. Drop Step Podcast.
We'll see you next time here on the NBA Drop Step Podcast.
Already.
Peace.